Soon may the wellerman come, bring us coffee, tea, and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, take our leave and go. At a fair in the sun of town, her hair was blonde and her dress was brown. Soon may the wellerman come around.
Besides a couple of test floats, this is the second official outing with the new 12-foot skiff. I'm launching just north of the 6880 bridge on Barkley Lake, and the wind is out of the south, and I'm planning just to run along the bank in very shallow water for the most part, which is one of the nice things about this skiff. It only needs a few inches to float, and the rudder even is very shallow. I always choose my locations based on predicted wind speed and direction. The forecast is sometimes dead wrong, and wind always varies within a certain range, but when you get high terrain and dense foliage, or you get back in a tight creek, the wind can behave strangely and in ways that you just can't predict. This is one of those rare occasions where the wind is just steady out of the south with a good constant speed. It's a perfect day for sailing this little boat downwind. There's a good amount of slop coming aboard through the Dagger board trunk, and this is one reason I was hesitant to use a Dagger board instead of a centerboard, although ultimately I think it was the right decision. This only happens on certain points of sail during certain conditions, but I really need to make some sort of a plug to use when sailing downwind or rowing. The lake is near winter pool, the lowest water level that it will achieve all year, and at times I'm only sailing in maybe 8 to 10 inches of water here. I'm sailing in some very shallow areas, just running right along the bank, sailing towards the north. If you have the right kind of vehicle, the shoreline here is accessible by what I would just call Jeep trails. Some of them are a little bit more maintained than others. I wave at an older couple sitting on a log on the bank. I don't think they quite knew what to think of my boat. This is the perfect conditions and location for this little boat. I'm really satisfied with how she sailed today. Probably sailed 1.5 miles downwind, and it's been really fun. The thing about this skiff is that it has very low freeboard, which is one thing that contributes to making it very light, which makes it easy to row and efficient to sail. Doesn't need a lot of wind to scoot along with this tiny sail that's designed for a kayak actually. But now I've come quite far and it's so tempting to keep going, and actually there's an island out behind me that I was unaware of. I haven't seen it marked on most of my charts, or I haven't noticed it. definitely haven't seen it on GPS because those things don't always show up on there. And it has trees growing on it, and looks to have a pretty substantial elevation. I would really love to sail out there and check it out. It's probably 3/4 of a mile across the width of Barkley, and I'm really tempted to do it, but I'm already pretty far considering that I'm gonna have to row into the wind. And the real concern is that the wind could pick up and the waves could pick up, and this boat really needs pretty flat water. I wouldn't trust it in any kind of waves over 6 inches, say 6 to 8 inches. It's completely open, low freeboard, only 11 1/4 at its highest point. No flotation whatsoever, which some people wouldn't agree with building this kind of a boat without flotation built in under the seats. You lose a lot of functionality when you do that, as far as being able to stow the oars and stow a lot of gear. You just lose space, and you also increase weight. So for a traditional open boat like this, that's really what I prefer, but you just have to understand its limitations and your limitations as a skipper, and use good judgment. There's definitely some earthworks here. It's been leveled out, cut out of the side of this hill, and I can't say for sure if there was a home site, but this is the most old tires I've ever seen in one place. People have compared this area to Appalachia, and it is in a way similar. There's not real mountains, but there's a lot of steep terrain, hills and hollers, and there's a lot of places that are concealed by the terrain that you could walk by hundreds of times without ever knowing that something is there. There's places that I visited out here many times, and then suddenly, randomly, I'll discover something new, like a new house place, and it was something that I'd walked by many times, never had any clue that it was there. It's kind of a mysterious place out here, really.